they start with the deductions process. Deductions means they select a research particular problem. They can objectivize those problem. Before objectives, they go for literature. So deductions made, then they choose the right methodology, go for data analysis, data interpretation, and then testing of theory. So we are quantifying the subjects, their opinions, their preference, their tastes, their desires, their expectations. Everything is being quantified when we are analyzing the quantitative aspect of research. But when we are dealing with the text, say for example in media and communication research, content analysis plays a very, very important role. So in many of time, we are actually validating the existing theories. Or sometimes we may come up with new theories. Or sometimes the abstraction. Abstraction means when researcher comes with certain thought, then there is some kind of vagueness, some ambiguity. So that is called abstractness. When that abstractness or abstract ideas getting conceptualized and then operationalized, that is the whole process of theorizing, and that is called inductive process. That means in grounded theory or in narrative analysis or phenomenological analysis, where there is no clear idea when researcher comes with the research. But in case of quantitative, researchers have a clear idea by constructing either research hypothesis or research questions. But in qualitative aspect of research, it is very difficult to hypothesize the thing, because the very nature of the qualitative research talks about the abstractness. Then we conceptualize and then operationalized. Again, when we are talking about the data man, getting data a problem, it is always a very challenging. Where to collect the data, whether the data will be given or not. But in case of qualitative aspect, idea is a huge problem. Interpretation plays a very, very important role, and it is very difficult to get the ideas. So interviewing people is always a Herculean task. People generally do not give time to interview. So nowadays, with the coming of online platforms, it is very difficult to take appointment. If you take appointment, but still people do not give you time. And all those abstractions, the ideas are very abstract in nature. Again, when we are talking about the data man, statistics plays a very, very important role. But when we are talking about the qualitative aspect of research, concept plays a very, very important role. What concept? Because huge amount of data are coming through interviews. So how you can merge the data, converge the data, how you can transcribe the data. Transcription of data from qualitative research plays a very, very important role. It's a very, very challenging to transcription. Nowadays, with the coming of AI, people are actually transcripting. So deriving or derivation of concepts from all those transcription is one of the important domain of qualitative research. But in terms of quantitative research, there is certainty, but triviality. Triviality means there is no guarantee that the kind of responses that you are getting through using questionnaire from the population, that they may speaking the truth. Because the same set of questions are being applied to that means we assume that uniformity of responses, that means same set of questions, responses are coming from same set of questions. So there is huge amount of trivialization. But in case of qualitative aspect, trivialization is not there, because here it is not the questions, here it is the interaction, here it is the interpretation, and you have a researcher have a ample time to follow up questions. In case of survey, there is no follow-up questions. Once questionnaire has been designed, constructed, you cannot change it. You can do a pre-test, pilot study, but you cannot follow up the questions. But in terms of qualitative research, you can go for a follow-up questions. So that is basic difference between the two extremes. Now again, the qualitative versus quantitative conundrum. Qualitative research talk the evaluation of the process. Quantitative, again, it is empiricism, talking about in terms of numbers, counts, measures. There are many measurement techniques we apply in mass media research, Likert scale. There are other scales also, semantic differential scales. Okay, there are other parameters also in measuring the variables, like nominal levels of measurement, ordinal levels of measurement, interval levels of measurement, ratio levels of measurement. So the whole quantitative research is very structured. So we can count, we can measure the variables through statistical application. We also derive our interpretations. But for qualitative, we need concepts to explicate the data. So how concepts will come? Concepts will come from the transcription that or the data that we have gathered through interview, or through grounded theory or phenomenological research or narrative research. But in quantitative research, the whole process is collection of data. Everything is quantified. Everything is, even the population has to be quantified. Again, in qualitative research, there is a focus on aesthetics. We in media purely focus on aesthetics, the imagery, the mood, the tone in text. Even in newspaper editorials, we sometimes analyze, verify the tone of the language, the tone of the text, whether it is pro-government, whether it is against the government, whether it is neutral. So this way we can verify. There are two aspects of textual analysis in media research. One aspect is the surface meaning of the content or the latent meaning of the content. So surface meaning of the content, what it appears from the above, whatever there in the text, whether it is editorial or open editorial or front page news, that is the surface meaning. But what is the hidden meaning? What is the latent text? When we are talking about the latent meaning, latent text, that aspect comes under qualitative research. Once again, qualitative research, we come up with theory. But in quantitative research, we test a theory. That is the basic difference between the two. We test theory through statistical interpretation. But in qualitative research, we develop theory without statistical interpretation. In qualitative research, we interpret. In quantitative research, we describe, we explain, we predict. So, in qualitative research, interpretation can always be attacked, because my interpretation not necessarily be aligned with your interpretation. And methodology can be attacked. In quantitative research, methodology flaws are there. That is why there is a separate chapter and we generally follow what are the different gaps in research. So in one aspect, you can find out the methodological gap. Say for example, in any research project, if we try to find out a causal relationship between two variables. Say for example, causal relation with the independent variable is watching television. And after watching television, what kind of effects that has been generated? So according to Gardner, when the study was done in 1960s, he said that the more you watch television, the dominant symbol that you receive is about the social reality will be little violent. So he applied content analysis.